welcome to my channel, welcome back to my channel. Either way, welcome. I feel like every single woman can relate to this video, and still I think there's a lot of guys. I know they get so frustrated with their own kind, and they want to pull them aside and ask, why you so creepy? Like, if you stay watching this video, you're supporting me, who's a woman. It's very, very nice of you. In high school, I kind of just stuck with my friends. I didn't go out very much. So as of now, trying to recall the past, I don't think too many creepy incidences happened then. But things started when it was the summer before college, where there was this Facebook group where you could meet people ahead of time. It was like a little freshman portal page on Facebook. I remember I was just like right on that, like jumped right on that. And I remember there was this guy, let's call him Adam, whom I noticed was very active on the page. And I wasn't attracted to Adam. I don't even think that matters. Like, I was just wanting to make friends. But he kind of, you could just tell from his Facebook, he wasn't very social, but he seemed nice. And I'm someone where, like, I always kind of felt like I was in the unpopular crowd in high school. So I kind of had like a little heart for him, and I reached out wanting to be his friend, and it was great. And we started talking, and it got to the point where we were messaging every day. I was getting a little exhausted from it, but you know, like when you feel like you hit it off on a friendship level, you hit it off with somebody, then you kind of feel bad when they start trying to message you every day and you're like not feeling it as much. It's like, there's not much to talk about, buddy. But he was really interested in film and all that, and I was thinking, you know what? In high school, I always struggled with people helping me on my film projects. So I kind of kept up the friendship going, but then I kind of noticed he kept getting into my personal life. Not so many creepy questions about sex and love, at least from what I can remember, but he would go and watch my YouTube videos. And then he would come back to me and tell me why things were very concerning to him, which was so weird because I remember being happy, or the video was about something completely different, this and that, but he would pick it apart and give me these word-for-word examples of what I said or how I said it and how it was just so concerning to him. Granted, I know we said that we talked every day, but at this point in time, like, I felt guilty not talking to him every single day, but I didn't talk to him a lot every single day. Like, it'd be just a couple word exchanges, or, you know, we'd be talking about film, which wasn't really about getting to know each other. It was more just like talking about film, things like that. And I just remember being so taken aback. It wasn't a good time for me to be analyzed, especially because I had just lost my brother. I probably wasn't mentally ready to go to college, but I did it anyway. So I remember just telling him, like, can you please stop analyzing this? This is like none of your business, this and that. One thing you need to know is I hate being psychoanalyzed. Like, my best friend Olivia, she took a lot of psychology classes, and we've had discussions like that, but I'm telling you, like, our friendship would not work if on the daily she was psychoanalyzing me. Just trying to move on with my life. Even though this guy would talk to me every day, it's not like we were having these deep conversations. He didn't know who I was. He didn't even know. It's just got to the point where he was becoming so exhausting. So what I did was I stopped messaging him, and he was always asking what's wrong, this and that. And I'm just thinking, I don't owe you an explanation because I've already talked to you about this kind of stuff. I just want to move on. I want to make normal friends. That's all I wanted. Then college starts, and the freshmen have to be there 2 weeks early, and I start talking to all these girls, and it's so funny because there's only so many things you guys can talk about that you might have in common, and a lot of things that we had in common was this guy, Adam, messaging them, and they would talk about how, you know, either talk about trying to be their boyfriend or commenting on their bikini pictures. It was just all so much. And all the girls said, like, I had to block him, I had to stop talking to him, I had to tell him to stop talking to me, like, all this stuff. So guys, I don't know why you do this, because it's very popular for girls to talk about boys and connect the dots. So of course I'm like, I am so staying clear. But this guy, he recognizes me on campus, Adam, and he keeps finding me, and it's so miserable because he's finding me when I'm at the pool. And the reason he's at the pool is not to tan or play in the pool. He would literally come clothed to the pool area to stare at girls. Like literally, you would just see him standing, like the one guy who's in the head to toe clothes, looking at girls and sometimes trying to take pictures of them. It was all creepy, and I hated it when he would come up to me in front of other people and say, remember you used to talk to me all the time. We used to be best friends. I don't know what happened. You used to love talking to me. And it would just be so embarrassing. He did stop talking to me, but the saddest thing was he never got the hint. I think University of Tampa had to get involved, and he had some like on-campus restraining orders. And then one of my guy friends who was so nice, I remember he had dinner with him, and he wasn't trying to make him feel bad, but he was trying to redirect him so he could be less creepy because he felt bad for him. Also, I had some friends that were in classes with him, and he would always try to start these debates that were real misogynistic, like how a woman has to do this and has to do that and has to make dinner, just all this gross stuff, which I don't know if in high school he developed that train of thought or if it was just through being rejected so much in college. But honestly, what I've noticed this from is men who are sexually frustrated and bitter. But at the same time, it's not the woman's job to make you feel like a man, okay? And then there was Vince. So I did make a video already talking about Vince, and I clearly stand behind that video. I'll pop that video down in the description, but kind of a rundown about Vince is that I needed Vince for a video project where he played my lover, and I guess I was such a great actress, he took it personal, and he was just so confident that we had a connection. But again, this is freshman year. My mind is just in a haze. I'm numb from everything. And also he wasn't worthy of me, but still, like, it wouldn't have mattered. Like, I just did not have the mindset to go there. And he would get so mad that I wouldn't date him, that he would talk bad about me on campus, in classes. Anybody who would listen to him, he would talk bad. And he would love to call me a tease, which was so annoying because I didn't even know half the time what I was doing. You know, I didn't know, I just wanted to play the game like everybody else played. I didn't know how to play the game because I've never played the game before. I was just doing my best. Now let's talk about Andy. He had those little piercings right here. I think they're called snake bites. He was overall, I don't know, he looked just kind of greasy all the time, like, ooh. But he was a senior and I was a freshman, and I will tell you that it was a very uncomfortable situation from the start, but I also had no idea how to handle being preyed on because nobody liked me in high school. I barely dated, so I did not see this coming. And also with my self-esteem and amongst all these pretty girls, and that I was just now starting to develop, I never really saw myself as a catch. Like, I thought it was cute, like I could work it, you know, but I never really found myself hot. Like, how could a senior want to be with me? Like, I'm not that hot. Like, I couldn't fathom what was happening. A part of this too was I was already on the fence with saying yes, but I had this one girlfriend who was not a great girlfriend at the time. And she just had no care in the world for my feelings or the anxiety I felt or the situation. All she cared about was saying that she, you know, that she got to go out at night and brag about it. She just wanted to party. She was the kind of girl who would have like a lame time at a party and then brag on social media how much fun it was. So her life's a mess, karma, there we go. But anyway, so she was convincing me like, come on, it's not a big deal, just say yes, like we'll all go. So we go to this club, and I remember it being like a really kinky club. It was like BDSM, like there were no orgies going on, nothing like that, or no like porn on the walls, but there was still, you know, like nude girls kind of bonded together, like chains, you know, apple in the mouth, like, you know, just a weird vibe. But the thing is, like, you can't really say it looked sexy because the people who were at the club were all creepy and gross. So it was just really uncomfortable, and I remember him grabbing me and shoving his little snake-like tongue down my throat. And then I just clearly wasn't that interested, and then he grabbed me and he did that again. It's just, I just hated it, and so many times I was so mad at myself for doing this. Like, why am I getting involved? But I just didn't have the support system to kind of guide me there. Like, I wish my mom was around at that time, but she wasn't. And I will say, like, I know he was in the wrong, and he knew he was in the wrong, because I will say Andy did apologize to me a couple years later for being so aggressive. And I took his apology, but I didn't hang out with him again. Like, that's not my job to, you know. But I took his apology because I really hope he grew from that. Oh, and don't forget Roger. He was in my freshman orientation class. And when I was a freshman, I was doing the hustle. I remember that I was trying to plan right off the bat what my major and minors were going to be. I was involved in a lot of organizations, and I really loved resume building. I don't want to get that confused with not having compassion, because I was not resume building all these nonprofits because I was heartless. Like, I actually personally like those. So I do want to separate that before I continue, because that can sound super bad. But I was into resume building with being part of other types of organizations. And so I saw Roger, and Roger was like very quiet. He had really long fingernails, which is so gross. But anyway, and I could tell that he was struggling from day one. And some time had went by, and I just had a heart. So I remember we were walking back to class, and he was ignoring me because I probably looked like I didn't want to talk to him, which I didn't because I had things to do, but I just felt bad. So I decided to strike up a conversation with Roger, and the conversation was pretty much about how he could get involved and feel more fulfilled with his college experience. You know, still a pretty shallow conversation. He didn't know much about me, I didn't know much about him. Then I walked away. But we were Facebook friends because we all friended each other in the beginning because we were in this freshman orientation. So of course he followed the creepy guy's handbook and started Facebook messaging me every single day. And then if I didn't respond, he'd get frustrated, this and that. Like, I remember not going on Facebook because I didn't want him to see that I was online. Or I just remember leaving his message on unread for days and then trying to read it at like 3 or 4 in the morning to just make it look nonchalant as to why I didn't respond. Like, I was going to bed. I was asleep when I did that, okay? So, but I'd still see him on campus. But I remember on campus, it was awkward because sometimes he would walk by me and still not say hi, even though he was messaging me on Facebook. And granted, I didn't really want to talk to him on campus. I don't want to talk to him at all. But to me, that was like really weird, like really, really weird. Like, he'd literally walk by me, we were like this far apart, and he wouldn't even say hi to me. So I was like, what is going on? Like, and please cut your fingernails. Eventually one day he sends me this message, and it's real ominous. And it just says, "Goodbye, Lesley." And immediately I snap. I flipped out on him because I asked him, like, well, what do you mean by this goodbye? Because in my head, I'm thinking, you're making it sound like you're about to commit suicide. And I feel like you know that this is such a dramatic message that of course I would think that you're about to commit suicide. Like, who wouldn't? Like, he knows what he's up to. And thank goodness he didn't say that he was gonna commit suicide, but he was, again, dramatically saying, you obviously don't want to talk anymore, so I'm just gonna let you be. I was furious, like furious. I need to go in depth as to my reasoning why, in case it's not that clear. Because in my head it's clear because I feel my feelings. But I was so mad because it's kind of like when you're in a relationship and people try to gain power over one another by threatening to break up with them. Or worse, like, if you break up with me, I'll kill myself. Like, that is a real thing that happens. And that's abusive, and that's trying to get power over someone, and I was not going to have it. Then I remember it was like my senior year, he made a Facebook status, and he literally tagged people in this woeful message, like, I don't know why so-and-so stopped hanging out with me, but I guess she moved on to better friends and stuff like that. That was just like, ugh. So I reached out to her, and she had a similar story where He was an exhausting, toxic friend, and she tried the best she could, but eventually she had to let go of it. I mean, but seriously, who does that? Like, I know people love to treat social media like a diary, but to tag people for them to see publicly and a chance to shame them or to guilt them, that's just gross. I blocked him, and I hope he gets some bad karma because I am not going to support a creepy guy. Finally, we have David. Oh, David, you were in my writing class. I wish I had known you were creepy. You didn't have the creepy look about you. You didn't have long fingernails. I felt like I was blindsided. And he had my phone number because we became partners. I don't know if it's because we sat together or maybe it was because he asked me to be his partner. I can't remember. I knew he had a crush on me because by then I had gone through puberty. I had a sorority shirt. Like, I was rocking it. And I was okay with that. David seemed pretty cute, but something was like always a little off about him. I think it was just him not being very smart, and not being smart is just not sexy. So I just was okay with him just being somebody I talked to in class. But I remember we had to get in some type of group project, and he talked about, let's be friends with that other girl you talked to, the really skinny one. And I was trying to think, like, the girl I was talking to, she was a bit bigger, so I was just kind of thrown off because, like, physically she wasn't like really skinny. So I asked him more about that, and really it just ended up being some sarcastic joke, and he was like, hey, no, I meant that girl.
She's fat as Ooh, look, I'm so cool as a man making fun of women.
Immediately, I call him out on it, and I was like, I don't want to be your partner. In fact, you're kicked out of the group. She and I are going to be partners. I'm only half joking because I don't really know this guy very well. I'm not looking for a real fight, okay? But I was just calling him out, and I was thinking in a joking way, but it's over text, so I get it. He was confused about, like, don't say shit like that. So then he starts calling me again and again and again. And I'm like, oh my God. First off, I hate talking on the phone. Like, I hate being called. But secondly, like, I had other things to do. What is with these guys? Like, I have things to do, places to be. So of course I kept hitting ignore. And then he starts saying, like, well, now we have a problem. I want you kicked out of the group. Like, all this dumb stuff. And I'm thinking, you have a crush on me. You're not gonna kick me out of this group. And you know you were in the wrong. So I was like, this is just gonna blow over. But I remember, I can't remember the timeline fully of this, but I remember one time he was talking to me and he put his hand on my upper thigh. It was so weird. Like, we were sitting and he was looking intently in my eye and he had his hand like on my leg, but I was wearing shorts like this. So like, I'm sitting, so of course my legs are like this, and he has his arm, like, hand right here. And I just remember talking to him. I'm like, what the hell? Has anybody seen this? This is weird. So I do remember he stopped me on campus after classes had finished. Like, this was months after the class finished. And he apologized for being weird. So, you know, granted, he should have apologized for being creepy, but I'll take the apology for being weird. But again, like, I'm not talking to him. I don't care if he was slightly cute. Like, not worth it. There is one person that I have not mentioned who belongs in this story, but I'm not ready to talk about. And it's such a big story, it might be a separate video alone. But there was a time when I was heavily pursued by my college professor, and that did not go well for me. It did not end well for him, and I'm just not ready. Okay, I want to end this video on a positive note. I'm in high spirits now. I've been feeling good about life, but this is just a little college stories life lesson of guys you meet in college. It really happens. Will there be a part 2? Probably someday, because creepy guys never stop being creepy. Even when girls point out their creepiness to them and tell them to stop and block them, those creepy guys don't learn. I don't know, I've just noticed that. But I don't want this to be a video hating on guys. These are just college stalker stories. Everybody has them. Ha ha ha, ha ha ha. Okay, so if you want to join the fam bam, please subscribe. I love you, I mean it. Bye guys.